Hi, and welcome back to Couple Talk Part 2, Cracking the Code to Handling Conflict. This is Session 6, Getting a Grip on Your Emotions. I'm Julie, this is Kyle, and we are sitting here with Don and Alex. If it's been a while since Part 1, how can I, as the host, refresh?
A great thing to do would be to watch the introductory training clip for the hosts. It'll go over all of the activities that a host would do, talks about room setup and some of the other details that go into running a class, being the host of a Couple Talk class.
In the broad spectrum, what should we expect from Part 2 that's different from Part 1?
Well, Part 2 does focus on conflict. So we will be talking about emotions in conflict. There will be exercises where couples will actually be working through conflict issues. Later on in other sessions, we talk about and do exercises on forgiving and apologizing. So the whole Part 2 focuses in on a lot of issues having to deal with conflict.
So some big issues. What about Session 6 specifically? What are we looking at?
What we do is we help them understand that conflict is normal. And we give them strategies to manage anger, and there are a couple of exercises in there where they will be working with their partner in couple talks.
It is a session where one of the exercises particularly could generate some friction between the couples. They'll be talking about what happens that kind of triggers them or feels disrespectful when they are in conflict and talking about how they might change that. So there may be some times where a couple has had a difficult time as they've been working through that.
But the dialogue process is set up so that it's very structured and keeps things safe.
This is Part 2. So what if someone new wants to join? How do you handle that?
Well, I don't think a new couple could start at the beginning of Part 2. In Part 1, we taught the speaking skillfully, we taught listening and summarizing back with empathy. We put together a couple talk. They'd really be lost if they were to try to start at Part 2. So I wouldn't think that that would be a fit. But if there was a way for them to access the videos and go through Part 1, then I think they'd be equipped to start in Part 2.
Or they could start their own couple talk program themselves.
Anyone could be a host, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's true.
Well, do you guys have any other thoughts before we start Part 2?
Well, just a comment to the hosts. This is a program that can have a powerful effect, a good, positive effect on relationships, on marriages, on families. Your role as the host is a pivotal role. You set the tone for the class. You can be encouraging and accepting. You can have things ready to go on time. You can encourage the couples to practice. There's a statement in the guide for the beginning and the end of each class, and you can provide that for the people that are in your group. So as a host, you really do have a lot to do with how effective this class will be for them. And I just want you to know that we appreciate your involvement and encourage you to be that positive influence on the folks in your class. Encourage them. Tell them they're doing good. If they're stuck and they're having trouble, tell them to keep on, and they'll find light at the end of the tunnel.
Thanks so much, Don and Alex. And don't forget that there are additional resources and tips available at coupletalk.com.
From one host to another, have a great session.